Hello boys, welcome back to another session of video tutorials, and this session is meant for class 11th biology students, and this is for 2nd February 2021. As we all know that we are revising the entire syllabus in a row for third time, and this time around we are revising the syllabus, particularly each chapter in the form of test paper 2, as we have finished test paper 1 earlier. In this session, we are going to discuss about chapter breathing and exchange of gases. This chapter is not only valid for the sake of marks, even in general day-to-day life, it's very important for all the human beings to understand what is breathing, what is respiration, what is the significance of respiration, and how we can be energetic in our day-to-day life. So keeping that in our mind, we go with the general instructions. All questions are compulsory. Question number 1 to 3 carry 1 mark. Question number 4 to 6 carry 2 marks. Question number 7 to 8 carry 3 marks. And of course, question number 9, lengthy question, long answer type question, 5 marks. So here are the questions. Question 1, define vital capacity. Of course, it is just knowledge based, you just mug it up and vomit. But then that's not enough for you. You need to understand the significance of vital capacity. Question 2. What is the role of carbonic anhydrase? Carbonic anhydrase. Anything ends with ASE, I told you it's an enzyme in red blood corpuscles. Question 3. What is carbaminohemoglobin? Carbaminohemoglobin. Fourth, very important question, expected one. What is chloride shift? Explain. Question number 5. Explain briefly the first step in respiration. Question 6. Write a note on bronchitis and its prevention. Bronchus, bronchitis. Right? That is the relationship. Question number 7. Differentiate between vital lung capacity and total lung capacity. Question 8. Explain the mechanism of breathing in humans. This is very much expected question from this chapter for 3 to 5 marks. And then describe in brief the respiratory organs of man. So brief description of respiratory system. And of course always keep in mind that whenever you are writing a lengthy answer, either for 3 marks or 5 marks, it is always advisable, it is always better to substantiate your answer with the diagram. And the diagram should be scientific and most beautiful. And not to forget, label it in one side. Let there be discipline even in labeling of the diagram. Now take a paper, start writing the answers. After say 30 minutes of you answering it, come for the answer session. Compare your answers with the answers that I am providing here with. Question 1. The maximum volume of air a person can breathe in after a forced expiration is known as vital capacity. This includes ERV, PV, total volume, IRV, or the maximum volume of air a person can breathe out after forced inspiration. Answer 2. About 70% of carbon dioxide reacts with water to form carbonic acid in RBCs in the presence of an enzyme called carbonic anhydrase. So the chemical reaction is CO2 plus H2O giving rise to H2CO3. Question 3. Carbaminohemoglobin is formed when CO2 combines with hemoglobin in blood to facilitate the transport of CO2. That is the role of carbaminohemoglobin. Question 4. Diffusion of chloride ions from blood plasma into RBC is known as chloride shift. Occurs from plasma to RBCs in human body. It maintains ionic balance and electrochemical neutrality. This is most important. Without this, without ionic balance, the systems cannot work normally. Question 5. First step in respiration is called breathing. And always you must remember, breathing is different from respiration. Breathing is a physical process, respiration is a biochemical process. Breathing involves expenditure, ATPs are to be spent to breathe. Respiration always releases ATPs. Breathing is intake of oxygen, outflow of carbon dioxide physically. Respiration is biochemical oxidation of glucose. So, keeping all those points in mind, you must understand that breathing and respiration are both separate and different. In breathing, atmospheric air is taken in by inspiration, and alveolar or alveolar air is released out by expiration. The exchange of O2 and CO2 between deoxygenated blood and alveoli, transport of gases throughout body by blood. Exchange of O2 and CO2 between the oxygenated blood and tissues, and utilization of oxygen by the cells are the other steps involved in it. Question number 6. It is inflammation of bronchi. What is bronchitis? We said no. It is inflammation, means swelling. Swelling of bronchi, and is characterized by hypertrophy, hyperplasia, seromucous glands, and goblet cells lining the bronchi. That is, there will be swelling, there will be dry cough, all that in the bronchitis. Symptoms are, as I said, coughing with a thick greenish yellow sputum, and sometimes it is dry also. It shows infection, that excessive secretion of mucus. That's why we said hypertrophy. And then it is caused by pollutants as well as the cigarette smoking. And how to prevent? Of course, since cigarette smoking is causing, avoid smoking. And allergens are there, pollutants in the air, avoid those allergens. So avoid exposure to allergens, particularly Partenium Cs. Second, treatment involves antibiotic theory and bronchodilator drugs. Bronchus will be dilators. Question 7. VC, vital capacity, versus TVC or TLC, total lung capacity. It is the sum total of tidal volume, expiratory reserve, and inspiratory reserve volume. So VC is equal to tidal volume, ERV, expiratory reserve volume, and IRV, inspiratory reserve volume. That's how we calculate. Sum total of vital capacity plus residual volume, that is total lung capacity. The value of vital capacity is around 3500 to 4500 ml. The value of TLC is 5000 to 6000 ml. VC represents maximum amount of air that a person can expel after filling the lungs to the maximum. TLC represents maximum total amount of air that can be present in lungs after maximum inspiratory effort. So question number 8. Breathing involves two stages. One is inspiration, another is expiration. Inhalation, exhalation. Inspiration, during which atmospheric air is drawn in, and expiration, by which the alveolar air is released out. The movement of air into and out of the lungs is carried out by creating a pressure gradient. Now this is important. Pressure gradient between the lungs and the atmosphere. Inspiration can occur if the pressure within the lungs, that is intrapulmonary pressure, is less than the atmospheric pressure. That is, there is a negative pressure in the lungs with respect to atmospheric pressure. Similarly, expiration takes place when intrapulmonary pressure is higher. Expiration higher than the atmospheric pressure. The diaphragm and a specialized set of muscles, external and internal, intercostal between the ribs, help generation of such gradients. Inspiration is initiated by the contraction of the diaphragm, which increases the volume of thoracic chamber in the anterior posterior axis. The contraction of external intercostal muscles lifts up the ribs and the sternum, causing an increase in the volume of the thoracic chamber in the dorsoventral axis. The overall increase in the thoracic volume causes a similar increase in pulmonary volume. An increase in pulmonary volume decreases the intrapulmonary pressure to less than the atmospheric pressure. That forces the air from outside to move into the lungs, and that results in inspiration. Relaxation of the diaphragm and the intercostal muscles returns the diaphragm and sternum to their normal positions and reduce the thoracic volume and thereby the pulmonary volume. This leads to an increase in intrapulmonary pressure to slightly above the atmospheric pressure, causing the expulsion of air from the lungs, that is expiration. On an average, a healthy human breathes 12 to 16 times per minute. Check this, whether you are doing this, then only you are healthy human being. The volume of air involved in breathing movements can be estimated by using spirometer. Question number 9, of course, that's my favorite. I've been telling you, draw beautiful diagrams. You can color it like this, label it like this, okay? So the following are the main respiratory: epiglottis, larynx, trachea, pleural membrane, pleura, the coverings that are covering the lungs, alveoli, the holes that are present in the lungs, pleural fluid, liquid that is present in the pleura, bronchioles, smaller holes of the bronchus, of course the greatest muscle, diaphragm, and the lungs as such, our respiratory organs, and then cut end of the ribs, rib bones, and the bronchus. So this is how you need to draw. See the axis and see the proportionate and the beauty of the diagram and labeling. So first one is nostrils. These are paired openings situated in the anterior and posterior ends of the nasal chambers. They are lined up with ciliated epithelium and mucous cells. These prevent the entrance of dust into the lungs and help in warming and moisturizing the air. The nasal chamber opens interiorly by the external nostril and posterior internal nostril into the pharynx. As you are seeing, it is this area that starts off nostrils, then goes to pharynx, and then from pharynx it comes to larynx. It is situated at the anterior part of the trachea and communicates with the pharynx. The glottis is protected by stiff cartilage called epiglottis. Epiglottis is a cartilage. The larynx contains pairs of vocal cords, remember S.P. Balasubramanian, which set into vibrations when the air enters into it and produces the sound. Now the most important tube, trachea. It's a long ringed tube. It is supported by C-shaped elastic cartilaginous rings to prevent it from collapsing. It is lined internally with the mucous membrane to hold the dust particles, bacteria, and other foreign bodies. It also warms the air. Now bronchi. Inside the thorax, the trachea bifurcates into two bronchi, and each of which enters into one lung, as you are seeing in the diagram. In each lung, the bronchus again redivides into numerous small branches known as bronchioles. These bronchioles further divide at its end to form respiratory bronchioles. Now come the main organs of respiration, lungs. The two large bag-like or balloon-like spongy structures that are the main respiratory organs. These are enclosed by double pleural membranes. The lungs are divided externally by lobes. The right lung consists of 4 lobes and the left by 2 lobes. Inside the lungs, the respiratory bronchioles give rise to alveolar ducts, alveolar sacs, and finally alveoli. Each lung contains how many? This is important again, NEET exam, millions of alveoli. Each alveolus is exceptionally thin-walled. Its walls are highly permeable and richly supplied with blood capillaries. The blood is supplied to the lungs by a pair of pulmonary arteries. Pulmos means lungs. Lungs, arteries that are connected to lungs, pulmonary arteries. These bring blood with poor in oxygen, rich in carbon dioxide. The exchange of gases occur in the alveoli of the lungs. The oxygenated blood from alveolar capillaries is called by the pair of pulmonary veins. Normally veins carry bad blood. Here they carry pure blood, oxygenated blood. That's why we say exception. And this pulmonary veins carrying the oxygenated blood pump the blood to the heart. That's why they are very, very important. So this is how we need to answer in specifics and draw beautiful diagram and substantiate your answer. In our one more session, we will answer one more question.